So back to that ceasefire deal between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says it will give him more time to focus on the direct threat from Iran. What does our next guest think of this timing? Former Defense Secretary under Bill Clinton, William Cohen, joins us now. And we did just learn that President Biden has now spoken to the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about this. What do you think about this ceasefire just for 60 days?
Well, I think it's good news, certainly for the Israeli people and the people of Lebanon, to have this war come to an end, or at least a ceasefire that promises hopefully to be extended well beyond the 60 days that we're talking about now. It's going to take some time to implement it, but it has to be seen as a success from Prime Minister Netanyahu's point of view. He's accomplished what he set out to do, and that is to dismantle the military leadership in Hamas. He has also indicated that he's prepared to go into downtown Beirut and to bomb it heavily if necessary to get at those targets. So I think the combination of the losses that the Hezbollah was suffering, the fact that Iran apparently is playing a role behind the scenes saying, I don't want to see my entire proxy eliminated, and so they have supported this ceasefire. So the rest will be in the details. What do the Israelis do at this particular point, looking to Hamas and Iran?
But the timing is very interesting. You talk about Iran maybe subtly supporting it behind the scenes. You know, this comes at a time when the Middle East knows that a new president is coming in, and one that had the Abraham Accords, one that comes at a position from strength, you know, and says what he means, or means what he says. So do you think the timing played into this in terms of the transition that's going on?
Well, I think so. We take Prime Minister Netanyahu at his word. Number one, the Israelis certainly are fatigued. They've had a relatively small army having to carry on battles both with Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. So they need some relief here. They need to resupply their munitions, including those coming from the United States. So there were factors involved in terms of the pace and the fatigue that's been the Israeli military has been suffering from. So I think that's an important factor. Secondly, I think Prime Minister Netanyahu says this is a deal. I may not get a better one with President Trump. President Trump-elect has said that he doesn't like war and wants to come in and not have war in Ukraine, which he's prepared to try and settle at day one, and also wouldn't want to see a war continue in the Middle East, for which he would then have the responsibility to try and bring about a solution. So a number of factors involved. And I don't know if we have even factored in Russia in behind the scenes in dealing with Iran. There are a lot of moving parts that we don't know about right now, but I give credit to President Biden. He's done what he set out to do. He's brought about a ceasefire. He has also talked about having a Palestinian state in the future. That is something that Prime Minister Netanyahu has never agreed to, and his right wing at this particular point would never allow him to agree to it. Right. So there's work to be done as far as Israel focusing on Hamas and Iran. Right. And I think it works to the benefit of the Israelis at this point, as well as all of us.
Bill, let me ask you this from a tactical standpoint. It also allows the Israelis to move its troop and resources to other borders to help Israel on other fronts, doesn't it?
Oh, it absolutely does. So, again, they're stretched pretty thin. You may note that recently there has been some controversy in Israel. They have now decided to draft the Orthodox from the Orthodox community. That's been a big increase in years over years in the past. So they need more people, and they need more. They need more rest. They need more munitions. So all of that combines to say, let's have a ceasefire, see if it'll hold. Maybe we can extend it. If we don't, we'll go back to waging the war as we've been doing it recently, to our benefit and to the detriment of certainly Lebanon.
So in the last 30 seconds, Senator Lindsey Graham said this immediate reaction. He said, this ceasefire will protect Israel from another October 7th and will give the people of Lebanon a break from fighting. How significant would the ceasefire be if it lasts for the full 60 days?
It will be very significant for Lebanon, which has been decimated by the presence of Hezbollah in their country for so many years. They have now the hope that perhaps they can have their military be the source of their security and not Hezbollah. So that's great for the people of Lebanon. It's also great for the people of Israel. They have been displaced as well. I think some 80,000, 70 to 80,000 Israelis have been displaced in northern Israel, and about 130,000 or more in Lebanon. So it's good for the region, but it also is good to say we have negotiated a ceasefire. We're long in the coming, and maybe we can build upon that and deal with Hamas and get the Israeli hostages back, and then remove Hamas as the governing force in Israel and get a new Palestinian Authority.
William Cohen, thank you. Former Defense Secretary, I appreciate your time on this. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.